The Smart Strategist. Think ahead, make better decisions, and achieve more. Written and published by Fearless Audiobook. Introduction. In a world that rewards speed, the real advantage belongs to those who know when to pause, when to plan, and when to move with purpose. That is the mark of a strategist. A strategist does not chase every distraction, react to every obstacle, or make decisions based on impulse. A strategist sees the road ahead, reads the situation with clarity, and chooses actions that create long-term results. The difference between ordinary results and extraordinary success is often not talent, luck, or even hard work. It is the ability to think ahead. It is the discipline to ask, what will happen next, before taking the first step. It is the wisdom to recognize patterns, weigh consequences, and make decisions that serve a bigger vision. This audiobook is about building that kind of mind. It is about learning how to think like a strategist in your career, your goals, your relationships, and your everyday choices. Because the people who achieve the most are rarely the ones who move the fastest. They are the ones who move with direction. By the end of this journey, you will see decisions differently, plan more intelligently, and act with greater confidence. You will begin to think ahead, not just to survive the present, but to shape the future. Chapter 1. The Strategic Mindset. Why thinking ahead changes everything. Every achievement begins with a way of thinking. Before a business is built, a goal is accomplished, or a dream becomes reality, someone first imagines the outcome and carefully plans the path toward it. This is the essence of strategic thinking. It is not about being the smartest person in the room or having all the answers. It is about developing the habit of looking beyond the present moment and making decisions that create better outcomes in the future. Many people spend their lives reacting. They react to unexpected problems, emotional situations, urgent deadlines, and other people's opinions. Their days are controlled by whatever demands their attention first. While this approach may solve immediate problems, it often keeps them trapped in a cycle of constant pressure. They survive each day without intentionally shaping the future they truly want. A strategist lives differently. Instead of asking, "What should I do now?" they first ask, "Where do I want this decision to lead?" This single shift changes everything. Rather than allowing circumstances to dictate their actions, they make choices that align with a larger vision. Imagine two people climbing the same mountain. One focuses only on the next step beneath their feet. The other occasionally stops, studies the trail, observes the weather, and adjusts the route before moving forward. Both are working hard, but only one is thinking strategically. The second traveler may pause more often, yet they usually reach the destination faster because they avoid unnecessary mistakes. This principle applies to every area of life. Whether you are building a career, managing finances, improving your health, or strengthening relationships, your ability to think ahead determines the quality of your results. Small decisions made today quietly shape tomorrow. One of the greatest strengths of a strategist is patience. Modern society celebrates speed. We are encouraged to make instant decisions, expect immediate results, and constantly stay busy. Yet speed without direction often leads nowhere. Moving quickly in the wrong direction simply increases the distance from your destination. Strategic thinkers understand that slowing down for a few moments can save months or even years of frustration. Before making important decisions, they gather information, consider alternatives, and evaluate possible consequences. This is not hesitation, it is preparation. Another important characteristic of strategic thinking is emotional discipline. Every person experiences fear, excitement, anger, and disappointment. These emotions are natural, but they should not become permanent decision makers. Consider someone receiving criticism at work. A reactive person may respond immediately, with frustration, damaging relationships and creating unnecessary conflict. A strategist pauses. They ask themselves whether the criticism contains useful information, how their response will affect future opportunities, and what action will produce the best long-term outcome. The situation remains the same, but the response changes the result. This ability to separate emotion from decision-making becomes one of the most valuable skills anyone can develop. It allows you to respond with clarity instead of impulse. Strategic thinking also requires curiosity. Rather than accepting situations at face value, strategists ask better questions. Why did this happen? What patterns are repeating? What opportunities are hidden inside this challenge? What could happen next? Better questions produce better answers. Better answers produce better decisions, and better decisions create better lives. An important truth is that strategic thinking is not something people are born with. It is a skill developed through practice. Every thoughtful decision strengthens it. Every mistake examined honestly improves it. Every experience becomes valuable when lessons are extracted instead of ignored. Think about the world's greatest leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, and innovators. They did not simply work harder than everyone else. They consistently looked beyond immediate obstacles. They prepared before opportunities appeared. They understood that success is rarely accidental. It is usually the product of intentional planning combined with disciplined action. Fortunately, you do not need to become a CEO, military commander, or political leader to think strategically. Every person makes dozens of decisions each day. How you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, what skills you develop, and how you respond to setbacks all shape your future. These everyday choices may seem small, but together they create the direction of your life. As you continue through this audiobook, begin observing your own thinking. Notice when you react without reflection. Notice when emotions rush you into decisions. Most importantly, start asking yourself one powerful question before every important choice. Will this move me closer to the future I truly want? That simple question is the beginning of a strategic mindset. It transforms ordinary choices into intentional actions, uncertainty into clarity, and scattered effort into meaningful progress. Think ahead, act with purpose, and let every decision become another step toward the life you are determined to build. Chapter 2. See the bigger picture. Recognizing patterns and opportunities. One of the defining qualities of a smart strategist is the ability to see beyond what is immediately visible. While most people focus on isolated events, strategists look for patterns. They understand that today's circumstances are rarely random. They are often the result of yesterday's decisions, habits, and actions. Likewise, today's choices quietly shape tomorrow's reality. Imagine standing only a few inches away from a massive painting. At that distance, all you can see are random brushstrokes and scattered colors. They seem disconnected and meaningless. But as you step back, the individual strokes begin to form a complete picture. Suddenly, what once looked like chaos reveals purpose and design. Life works the same way. When we become too focused on daily problems, we often lose sight of the larger story unfolding around us. Strategic thinkers constantly step back. They ask themselves, what am I missing? What does this situation look like from a broader perspective? This simple habit allows them to make wiser decisions because they are not trapped by the emotions of the moment. Patterns exist everywhere. In business, companies that fail to innovate often lose customers long before they realize what is happening. In personal finances, years of overspending eventually become overwhelming debt. In health, small daily habits accumulate into either strength or illness. In relationships, repeated acts of trust or neglect shape the future more than dramatic moments ever do. Most people notice the outcome. Strategists notice the pattern that created it. This ability requires careful observation. Instead of asking why something happened once, ask why similar situations keep repeating. If you constantly struggle with missed deadlines, poor financial decisions, or recurring conflicts, the issue may not be the individual event. It may be a pattern in your behavior, thinking, or environment. Recognizing patterns gives you the power to interrupt them. For example, imagine someone who repeatedly starts ambitious projects but never finishes them. At first they blame bad timing, difficult circumstances, or lack of motivation. But after stepping back, they recognize a pattern. Every time the excitement fades and challenges appear, they abandon the project and chase something new. The real obstacle is not opportunity, it is consistency. Once they recognize this pattern, they can begin changing it. The same principle applies to success. If you observe people who consistently achieve remarkable results, you will notice patterns there as well. They invest in learning even when no one is watching. They prepare before opportunities appear. They maintain discipline during difficult seasons. Their success is rarely accidental. It is the predictable outcome of repeated behaviors. Another essential skill of a strategist is learning to identify opportunities hidden inside ordinary situations. Many people wait for perfect circumstances before taking action. They believe opportunity arrives with clear signs and guaranteed success. In reality, opportunities often disguise themselves as problems, uncertainty, or change. Every major shift creates new possibilities. New technology changes industries. Economic challenges inspire innovation. Personal setbacks reveal strengths that comfort never could. While others complain about change, strategists ask, how can I benefit from this? This mindset transforms obstacles into stepping stones. History is filled with individuals who built extraordinary success during difficult times because they saw possibilities others overlooked. They understood that every challenge changes the landscape, and whenever the landscape changes, new paths become available for those willing to look. However, seeing the bigger picture also means resisting the temptation of short-term thinking. Short-term thinking focuses on immediate pleasure, instant results, and temporary comfort. It asks, what feels good today? Strategic thinking asks, what will benefit me 5 years from now? These two questions often lead to very different decisions. Choosing to save money instead of making an unnecessary purchase may not feel exciting today, but it creates financial freedom later. Spending an evening learning a valuable skill instead of endlessly scrolling through social media may require discipline now, but it opens doors in the future. Exercising regularly may feel difficult at first, but it builds a healthier and stronger life over time. Small choices compound. Just as interest grows in a savings account, wise decisions accumulate quietly until their impact becomes impossible to ignore. Strategists also understand that perspective influences judgment. When faced with setbacks, they resist making permanent conclusions based on temporary circumstances. A failed interview does not define a career. A rejected proposal does not determine future success. A single mistake does not erase years of progress. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this experience teaching me? That shift turns disappointment into education and setbacks into preparation. As you continue developing your strategic mindset, practice stepping back before reacting. Look beyond today's challenge and consider the long-term direction of your life. Observe recurring habits, recurring results, and recurring opportunities. Ask yourself which patterns deserve to be strengthened and which need to be broken. Remember, successful strategists are not simply better at solving problems. They are better at recognizing them before they become crises and better at spotting opportunities before they become obvious to everyone else. The bigger picture is always there. The question is whether you are willing to step back far enough to see it. Once you do, your decisions become clearer, your confidence grows stronger, and your future becomes something you intentionally create rather than something you merely hope for. Chapter 3. The Decision Advantage. Making smart choices every time. Every day, you make hundreds of decisions. Some are small, like what to eat for breakfast or which route to take to work. Others carry much greater weight, influencing your career, finances, relationships, and personal growth. While individual decisions may seem insignificant, together they shape the direction of your life. Success is rarely the result of one extraordinary choice. More often, it is the product of many smart decisions made consistently over time. A strategist understands that every decision is an investment. Just as investors carefully evaluate where to put their money, strategic thinkers carefully evaluate where to place their time, energy, attention, and resources. They know that every yes is also a no to something else. Choosing one path automatically closes the door to another, which is why thoughtful decision-making is one of the greatest advantages anyone can develop. Unfortunately, many decisions are driven by emotion rather than logic. Fear tells us to avoid risks that could help us grow. Excitement pushes us into commitments without careful thought. Anger encourages reactions we later regret. Even overconfidence can blind us to important details. Emotions are valuable because they provide information about how we feel, but they should not become the only guide for making important choices. Imagine receiving an attractive job offer with a higher salary. At first glance, accepting it seems obvious, but a strategist asks deeper questions. Will this role help me develop valuable skills? Does it align with my long-term career goals? How will it affect my work-life balance? Is the company's culture healthy? Rather than focusing only on the immediate reward, a strategist evaluates the complete picture. One powerful example of strategic decision-making comes from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. When he was working in a successful career on Wall Street, he faced a difficult choice. Should he remain in a secure, well-paying job, or leave everything behind to build an online bookstore, an idea that seemed uncertain at the time? Instead of making the decision based on fear or excitement, Bezos created what he called the regret minimization framework. He imagined himself at the age of 80, looking back on his life. Then he asked a simple but powerful question: which decision would I regret less? He realized he would regret never trying far more than he would regret failing. That long-term perspective gave him the clarity to leave his comfortable job and build what eventually became one of the world's most influential companies. You do not have to build a billion-dollar business to use this principle. Before making an important decision, ask yourself, 5 or 10 years from now, which choice will I be proud that I made? This simple question shifts your attention away from temporary emotions and toward lasting satisfaction. Another habit of smart strategists is gathering enough information before acting. This does not mean endlessly researching every option or delaying decisions forever. Overthinking can become just as harmful as acting too quickly. Instead, strategic thinkers collect the most important facts, consider different viewpoints, and then make a confident choice. There is an old saying, perfect information never arrives. Waiting until every uncertainty disappears often means missing valuable opportunities. Successful decision-makers recognize that every important choice involves some degree of risk. Their goal is not to eliminate uncertainty, but to make the best possible decision with the information available. Strategists also learn to recognize common thinking traps that distort judgment. One of these is confirmation bias, the tendency to search for information that supports what we already believe, while ignoring evidence that challenges our opinions. Another is the sunk cost fallacy, where people continue investing time or money into something simply because they have already invested so much, even when it is no longer the right choice. Imagine owning a failing business. A reactive thinker might continue pouring money into it because they cannot accept the loss. A strategist asks a different question. If I were starting from scratch today, would I still choose this path? If the answer is no, they are willing to change direction. They understand that protecting the future is more important than defending past decisions. Good decision makers also seek advice from people with experience. They understand that wisdom grows through different perspectives. This does not mean allowing others to make decisions for you, but it does mean remaining open to learning. Sometimes one conversation can reveal risks or opportunities that you failed to notice on your own. Finally, remember that no one makes perfect decisions every time. Even the greatest leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators have made costly mistakes. The difference is that they learn from those mistakes instead of allowing them to define their future. Every decision, whether successful or unsuccessful, provides valuable feedback. Winning teaches confidence, mistakes teach wisdom. Both are essential for growth. As you continue your journey toward becoming a smart strategist, remember that your future is built one decision at a time. Before making important choices, slow down, gather the facts, consider the long-term consequences, separate temporary emotions from lasting priorities, ask better questions, seek wise advice, and have the courage to act when the moment is right. Every thoughtful decision strengthens your judgment. Every wise choice builds momentum, and over time, those small moments of clarity become the foundation of an extraordinary life. The advantage of a strategist is not that they always know the future, it is that they consistently make decisions that prepare them for it. Chapter 4. Anticipate before you act. One of the greatest differences between ordinary thinkers and smart strategists is not intelligence, talent, or experience. It is foresight. A strategist understands that every action creates a reaction, every decision has consequences, and every opportunity carries potential risks. Instead of waiting for problems to appear, they prepare for them long before they arrive. Many people spend their lives reacting to events. They solve today's crisis only to face another tomorrow. Their energy is consumed by putting out fires because they rarely ask what might happen next. A strategist, however, approaches life differently. Before taking action, they pause and ask, if I choose this path, what challenges could I face? What opportunities might appear, and how can I prepare for both? This habit of anticipating outcomes transforms uncertainty into confidence. Think about a skilled sailor preparing to cross the ocean. They cannot control the weather, but they can study forecasts, inspect their equipment, carry emergency supplies, and plan alternative routes. Storms may still come, but preparation allows them to respond with calm instead of panic. Life works the same way. We cannot predict every event, but we can prepare ourselves to handle whatever comes. One of the most valuable habits of a strategist is thinking several steps ahead. Before making a decision, they mentally walk through possible scenarios. If this plan succeeds, what happens next? If it fails, what will I do? If circumstances change unexpectedly, what is my backup plan? This is not negative thinking, it is intelligent planning. Some people fear that considering risks will make them pessimistic. In reality, the opposite is true. People who prepare for obstacles are often the most confident because they know they have options. Confidence is not believing that nothing will go wrong. It is believing that you can handle challenges when they arise. A powerful example of strategic anticipation can be seen in Toyota, one of the world's leading automobile manufacturers. After experiencing major supply chain disruptions caused by natural disasters, the company realized that depending heavily on a limited number of suppliers created unnecessary risk. Instead of simply hoping future disruptions would not happen again, Toyota redesigned its supply chain. It identified critical components, developed relationships with multiple suppliers, increased inventory for essential parts, and created detailed contingency plans. When future disruptions occurred, Toyota recovered more quickly than many competitors because it had already anticipated the possibility of similar challenges. The lesson is clear: preparation today prevents panic tomorrow. This principle applies far beyond business. Imagine preparing for a job interview. A reactive person may simply hope everything goes well. A strategist researches the company, practices common interview questions, prepares thoughtful questions to ask, chooses professional attire in advance, and even plans extra travel time to avoid arriving late. If unexpected delays occur, they remain calm because they have already built flexibility into their plan. Preparation creates confidence because uncertainty becomes manageable. Another important aspect of anticipation is identifying risks before they become problems. Small warning signs often appear long before major failures occur. Ignoring declining savings, unhealthy habits, strained relationships, or slowing business performance rarely makes those issues disappear. In fact, problems become more difficult to solve the longer they are ignored. Strategists pay attention to these early signals. They understand that prevention is almost always easier than recovery. Consider your health. Exercising regularly, eating nutritious food, and getting enough sleep may not produce dramatic changes overnight, but these small habits reduce the likelihood of serious health problems in the future. Waiting until illness forces change is reactive. Building healthy habits before problems appear is strategic. The same principle applies to finances. Building an emergency fund may seem unnecessary when life is stable, yet unexpected expenses, economic downturns or career changes can happen without warning. People who prepare financially experience these challenges differently because they have created a safety net before they needed it. Strategists also understand the importance of having backup plans. Many people believe that creating an alternative plan shows a lack of confidence in their primary goal. In reality, backup plans demonstrate wisdom, not doubt. Imagine an entrepreneur launching a new product. They may believe strongly in its success, but they also prepare for slower sales, unexpected competition, or changing customer preferences. If their original strategy requires adjustment, they are ready to adapt instead of becoming discouraged. Having options reduces fear because your future no longer depends on a single outcome. However, anticipation should never become overthinking. There is an important difference between preparation and paralysis. Some people spend so much time imagining every possible problem that they never take action. Strategists avoid this trap by remembering that no plan will ever be perfect. The goal is not to predict every detail of the future. That is impossible. The goal is to become flexible enough to respond wisely when the unexpected happens. Think of strategic planning as carrying an umbrella. Bringing an umbrella does not guarantee that it will rain, nor does it cause the rain to come. It simply means you are prepared if the weather changes. If the sun shines all day, carrying the umbrella was still a wise decision because it gave you options. As you continue building your strategic mindset, begin asking yourself one powerful question before every important decision: what could happen next? Then take it one step further. Ask, if that happens, how will I respond? Those two questions alone will dramatically improve the quality of your decisions. They encourage you to think beyond the immediate moment, identify potential obstacles, create practical solutions, and move forward with greater confidence. Chapter 5. Master Priorities. Focus on what truly matters. Every person is given the same 24 hours each day, yet by the end of a year, some people have built businesses, mastered new skills, strengthened relationships, improved their health, and moved closer to their dreams, while others wonder where all their time went. The difference is rarely about having more time. It is about knowing what deserves your time. A smart strategist understands that success is not determined by how much you do, but by what you choose to do. Being busy is not the same as being productive. A calendar filled with meetings, emails, errands, and endless tasks may create the illusion of progress, but activity without direction often leads nowhere. Imagine an archer aiming at a target. If they shoot hundreds of arrows in random directions, very few will hit the center. But if they carefully aim each shot, fewer arrows produce far better results. Your time and energy work the same way. They are limited resources, and every decision about where to invest them shapes your future. One of the greatest mistakes people make is confusing what is urgent with what is important. Urgent tasks demand immediate attention. They ring, buzz, interrupt, and create pressure. Important tasks, however, create long-term value. They build your future, strengthen your character, and move you toward meaningful goals. The challenge is that urgent tasks often feel impossible to ignore, while important tasks can always be postponed until tomorrow. Answering emails, responding to notifications, attending unnecessary meetings, or solving minor problems may feel productive because they keep us busy. Yet many of these activities contribute very little to our long-term success. Meanwhile, learning a new skill, exercising, planning finances, reading, or working on a meaningful project may not demand immediate attention, but these are the actions that quietly transform our lives over time. Strategists understand this difference. They refuse to let urgency constantly steal their attention from what truly matters. A powerful example of prioritization comes from legendary investor Warren Buffett. Buffett is known not only for his financial wisdom, but also for his disciplined approach to focus. He once shared a simple exercise that has become famous around the world. Imagine writing down the 25 goals you want to achieve. After completing the list, circle the 5 most important goals. Most people would assume that the remaining 20 goals become secondary priorities. Buffett offered a different perspective. He said the remaining 20 goals should become your avoid-at-all-costs list. Why? Because those goals are important enough to distract you, but not important enough to deserve your full attention. They consume time, energy, and focus that should be invested in your highest priorities. This lesson reveals one of the hardest truths about success. Every meaningful yes requires many deliberate no's. Strategists are comfortable saying no, not because they lack ambition, but because they understand the cost of distraction. Every commitment has a hidden price. Accepting one opportunity often means giving up another. Spending hours scrolling through social media may seem harmless, but those same hours could have been invested in learning, creating, exercising, or spending time with family. Watching television every evening may provide temporary relaxation, but over months and years, it quietly replaces opportunities for personal growth. Strategic thinking requires asking an important question before accepting any commitment. Does this move me closer to my most important goals, or does it simply keep me busy? Another characteristic of smart strategists is recognizing that not every task deserves equal effort. Some activities produce extraordinary results, while others contribute very little. This idea is often explained through the Pareto principle, sometimes called the 80-20th rule. It suggests that roughly 80% of results often come from 20% of efforts. For example, in business, a small percentage of customers may generate most of the revenue. In studying, a few key concepts often explain most of the subject. In personal development, a handful of daily habits, such as reading, exercising, planning, and reflecting, can dramatically improve many areas of life. Strategists constantly search for these high-impact activities. Instead of asking, "What should I do today?" they ask, "Which action will create the greatest positive result?" This question shifts attention from quantity to quality. Mastering priorities also requires managing energy, not just time. Many people schedule important work during periods when they are tired, distracted, or mentally exhausted. As a result, they struggle to perform at their best. Strategists understand that energy is one of their greatest assets. They identify when they are most focused and reserve those hours for their most valuable work. Simple habits such as getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, eating nutritious food, and taking short breaks throughout the day improve concentration and decision-making. Protecting your energy allows you to perform at a higher level without constantly feeling overwhelmed. Equally important is learning to eliminate distractions. Today's world competes aggressively for your attention. Notifications, emails, social media, news updates, advertisements, and endless entertainment are all designed to interrupt your focus. While each distraction may seem small, together they fragment your attention and reduce your ability to think deeply. Strategists create environments that support concentration. They silence unnecessary notifications, schedule uninterrupted work sessions, and intentionally protect time for meaningful projects. They understand that focus is not something you find, it is something you protect. Another valuable habit is reviewing priorities regularly. Life changes, goals evolve, new opportunities appear. What mattered last year may not matter today. Successful strategists regularly pause to ask themselves whether their daily actions still align with their long-term vision. A weekly review can be incredibly powerful. Ask yourself, what moved me closer to my goals this week? What distracted me? What should I stop doing? What deserves more attention next week? These simple questions help ensure that your actions remain connected to your purpose. Finally, remember that mastering priorities is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about consistently choosing what matters most over what merely demands attention. Every meaningful life is built through intentional choices. Every successful career is strengthened by focused effort. Every healthy relationship grows because someone chooses to invest time where it truly counts. As a strategist, your greatest resource is not money, intelligence, or talent. It is your attention. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, results appear. So before beginning each day, pause and ask yourself one simple but life-changing question. If I accomplish only one thing today, what will make the greatest difference tomorrow? Then commit yourself fully to that answer. When you master your priorities, you stop allowing the world to decide what deserves your time. Instead, you become the architect of your schedule, your progress, and ultimately, your future. That is the quiet power of every great strategist. Chapter 6. Think like a chess player, planning several moves ahead. The greatest strategists are rarely the fastest thinkers in the room. Instead, they are the ones who think the furthest ahead. They understand that every move made today influences the opportunities and challenges of tomorrow. While others focus only on the next step, strategists consider the next 5. This way of thinking is much like a game of chess. A beginner often moves a piece simply because it looks like a good move in the moment. An experienced player, however, sees the board differently. Every move is connected. Before touching a single piece, they imagine how their opponent might respond, how the board will change, and which positions will become stronger or weaker. They are not just making a move, they are shaping the future of the game. Life works in much the same way. Every decision you make creates a chain reaction. Accepting a new job changes your daily routine, introduces you to new people, and develops new skills. Choosing to save money instead of spending it creates financial opportunities years later. Committing to exercise today improves your health not only next month, but perhaps decades into the future. Strategists understand that today's choices rarely end today, they echo into tomorrow. One of the most valuable habits you can develop is learning to think in terms of consequences rather than actions. Most people ask, "What should I do?" A strategist asks, "What happens after I do it?" This simple shift changes everything. Imagine someone offered a promotion with a significant salary increase. Many people immediately focus on the financial reward. A strategist looks deeper. Will the new role require constant travel? How will it affect family life? Will it develop valuable leadership skills? Will it bring greater fulfillment or simply greater stress? What opportunities might this position create 5 years from now? By asking questions that extend beyond the present moment, strategists make decisions that support long-term success rather than short-term satisfaction. Another essential principle of strategic thinking is understanding second-order thinking. First-order thinking focuses on immediate outcomes. It asks, "What will happen next?" Second-order thinking goes further. It asks, "And then what?" For example, buying an expensive luxury item may provide immediate happiness. But then what? It reduces savings, delays future investments, and may create financial pressure. On the other hand, investing that same money may require patience today. But then what? It grows over time, creates financial freedom, and provides opportunities that would otherwise never exist. The ability to ask, "And then what?" helps strategists avoid decisions that feel good today but create problems tomorrow. Patience plays an equally important role. Modern culture encourages instant gratification. We want immediate success, rapid promotions, quick profits, and overnight transformations. Yet the most meaningful achievements rarely happen quickly. They are built through consistent effort, careful planning, and disciplined execution over long periods of time. Think about planting a tree. The person who plants it may not enjoy its full shade immediately. It takes years to grow, but once it matures, it provides benefits for decades. Strategic thinking follows the same principle. Many of your best decisions will not produce immediate rewards. Their greatest value appears over time. One remarkable example of long-term strategic thinking is Netflix. When Netflix began, it was known primarily as a DVD rental company. At the time, mailing DVDs directly to customers was a successful business model. Most companies would have focused on maximizing those profits for as long as possible. But Netflix's leadership saw something others overlooked. They recognized that internet technology was improving rapidly and that streaming would eventually replace physical media. Rather than waiting until DVD rentals declined, they began investing heavily in streaming technology years before it became mainstream. This decision required enormous courage. Streaming was expensive, uncertain, and unpopular in its early stages. Many questioned whether abandoning a profitable business model was wise. But Netflix was thinking several moves ahead. They understood that if they waited until the market changed, it would already be too late. Eventually, streaming transformed the entertainment industry. Companies that failed to anticipate this shift struggled to compete, while Netflix became one of the world's leading entertainment platforms. The lesson is powerful. Great strategists do not simply respond to change. They prepare for it before everyone else recognizes its importance. Planning several moves ahead also means avoiding decisions that limit future options. Imagine standing at a crossroads with several possible paths. A reactive thinker chooses the first road that looks appealing. A strategist asks which path keeps the greatest number of future opportunities open. Learning new skills is an excellent example. A person who develops communication, leadership, critical thinking, and problem-solving abilities gains flexibility. These skills create opportunities across many careers and industries. Strategic thinkers invest in abilities that continue producing value regardless of how the world changes. This mindset also applies to relationships. Every conversation either strengthens trust or weakens it. Every promise kept builds credibility. Every act of kindness creates goodwill that may benefit both people in unexpected ways later. Strategists understand that relationships are long-term investments, not short-term transactions. Of course, planning ahead does not mean trying to control every detail of the future. That is impossible. Unexpected events will always occur. New opportunities will appear, circumstances will change, and plans will sometimes require adjustment. The purpose of long-term thinking is not to eliminate uncertainty, but to increase preparedness. Imagine driving on a long road trip using a GPS. The route may change because of traffic or construction, but having a destination still gives direction. Without a destination, every turn becomes random. Strategic planning works the same way. Your long-term vision provides guidance even when adjustments become necessary. As you develop your strategic mindset, begin making it a habit to pause before every important decision and ask yourself 3 questions. What happens next? What happens after that? Will this decision move me closer to the future I want to create? These questions encourage you to think beyond immediate rewards and temporary emotions. They help you recognize consequences that others overlook and opportunities that others fail to see. The smartest strategist is not the person who wins today's battle at any cost. It is the person who positions themselves to win tomorrow, next year, and the years that follow. Like a skilled chess player, they understand that every move matters, every decision shapes the board, and every thoughtful action builds momentum toward lasting success. When you begin planning several moves ahead, you stop living from one reaction to the next. Instead, you become the designer of your future, making decisions today that your future self will thank you for. Chapter 7. Adapt faster than the competition. If there is one certainty in life, it is change. Markets change, technology changes, careers change, relationships evolve, opportunities appear unexpectedly, while familiar routines disappear without warning. The people who succeed are not always the strongest, the smartest, or the most experienced. More often, they are the ones who adapt the fastest. A smart strategist understands that no plan, no matter how carefully designed, will unfold exactly as expected. The future is filled with uncertainty. Unexpected obstacles will arise, priorities will shift, and circumstances will challenge even the most thoughtful strategies. Instead of resisting these changes, strategists learn to work with them. They remain flexible without losing sight of their ultimate destination. Think of a river flowing toward the ocean. When it encounters a rock, it does not stop moving. It flows around the obstacle. If the path becomes blocked, it finds another route. The destination remains the same, but the path changes. This is how strategic people approach challenges. They stay committed to their vision while remaining flexible in their methods. Many people confuse adaptability with inconsistency. They believe that changing direction means giving up. In reality, adaptability is not abandoning your goals. It is adjusting your approach when the current one is no longer effective. Imagine trying to unlock a door with the wrong key. A reactive person might continue forcing the same key, becoming increasingly frustrated. A strategist steps back, recognizes that the method is not working, and searches for a different key. The goal has not changed, only the strategy has. One of the greatest barriers to adaptability is ego. People often become emotionally attached to their ideas, plans, or past decisions. They continue defending failing strategies simply because admitting they were wrong feels uncomfortable. But strategists understand that being right is less important than achieving the right outcome. History is filled with organizations and individuals who failed not because they lacked intelligence, but because they refused to adapt. They clung to familiar methods while the world moved forward. One well-known example is Kodak. For decades, Kodak dominated the photography industry. Ironically, one of Kodak's own engineers helped invent the first digital camera in the 1970s. Yet the company hesitated to embrace digital technology because it feared losing profits from its film business. While Kodak protected its existing success, competitors invested aggressively in digital photography. Consumer behavior changed, technology advanced, and the market evolved. By the time Kodak fully recognized the shift, it had already lost its leadership position. The lesson is clear: success today does not guarantee success tomorrow. The strategies that create growth in one season may become obstacles in the next. Contrast this with companies that continually reinvent themselves. They ask difficult questions before circumstances force them to. They experiment with new ideas, learn from failure, and remain curious about changing trends. Instead of fearing change, they treat it as an opportunity to improve. This same principle applies to personal growth. Imagine someone who has worked in the same profession for 20 years. Suddenly, new technology transforms the industry. A reactive person complains that everything is changing too quickly. A strategist begins learning new skills before they become essential. They understand that staying valuable requires continuous learning. One of the most important qualities of adaptability is having a beginner's mindset. Many people stop learning once they become comfortable. They believe their experience alone is enough to secure their future. Strategists think differently. They remain students regardless of their achievements. Every book, conversation, experience, and challenge becomes an opportunity to learn something new. This humility keeps them prepared for a changing world. Adaptability also requires emotional resilience. Not every plan will succeed. Some opportunities will disappear. Projects may fail despite careful preparation. Rejection, criticism, and disappointment are inevitable parts of any meaningful journey. The difference lies in how you respond. A reactive thinker often sees failure as proof that they should quit. A strategist views failure as information. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" they ask, "What is this experience teaching me?" This shift transforms setbacks into valuable lessons. Thomas Edison reportedly tested thousands of different materials before successfully creating a practical electric light bulb. When asked about his repeated failures, he famously suggested that he had simply found thousands of ways that did not work. Whether every version of that story is perfectly accurate or not, the underlying principle remains powerful. Each unsuccessful attempt provided information that guided the next one. Strategists understand that progress is rarely a straight line. Every obstacle contains feedback. Every mistake reveals something worth learning. Every setback strengthens future decisions if we are willing to study it. Another important aspect of adaptability is knowing the difference between persistence and stubbornness. Persistence means remaining committed to your purpose despite temporary difficulties. Stubbornness means refusing to change your methods even when evidence clearly shows they are ineffective. Imagine an athlete training for a marathon. If one training routine consistently causes injuries, continuing the same approach is not persistence, it is stubbornness. A strategist adjusts the training plan, consults experts, improves recovery, and continues pursuing the goal using a smarter method. The destination stays the same. The strategy evolves. Strategists also understand that adaptability requires awareness. You cannot respond to changes you fail to notice. This means paying attention to trends, listening to feedback, observing your environment, and remaining open to different perspectives. Sometimes the greatest opportunities appear quietly. A new technology emerges. Customer preferences begin shifting. A conversation reveals an unexpected idea. Those who are paying attention often recognize these signals long before they become obvious. Being adaptable also means surrounding yourself with adaptable people. The people around you influence how you think about change. If you spend time with individuals who constantly resist new ideas, complain about every challenge, and fear uncertainty, their mindset can gradually become your own. Strategists intentionally build relationships with people who are curious, optimistic, and solution-oriented. These individuals encourage growth rather than comfort. They ask better questions, challenge assumptions, and inspire continuous improvement. One practical way to strengthen adaptability is to regularly place yourself in unfamiliar situations. Learn a new skill. Read books outside your favorite subjects. Travel to different places. Meet people from different backgrounds. Try solving problems in new ways. Every unfamiliar experience expands your thinking and increases your ability to handle uncertainty. Most importantly, remember that adaptability begins with accepting one simple truth. The world will continue changing, whether you are ready or not. You cannot stop technology from advancing. You cannot prevent industries from evolving. You cannot control every challenge that life presents, but you can control your willingness to learn, adjust, and grow. That choice gives you a tremendous advantage. As a smart strategist, your goal is not to create a perfect plan that never changes. Your goal is to build a mindset that remains effective no matter how circumstances evolve. Hold tightly to your vision, but hold your methods lightly. Be willing to improve, willing to learn, and willing to change course when wisdom demands it. In the end, adaptability is not about surviving change. It is about using change as a stepping stone toward greater success. The people who thrive in an uncertain world are not those who fear the future. They are those who prepare for it, embrace it, and confidently move forward, knowing that every challenge carries the seed of a new opportunity. That is the quiet strength of every great strategist. They do not wait for the perfect conditions. They adapt, they grow, and they continue moving forward, one smart decision at a time. Chapter 8. Strategic Communication and Influence. A brilliant strategy has little value if it cannot be understood, trusted, or supported by others. Throughout history, great leaders, entrepreneurs, negotiators, and innovators have shared one powerful ability. They knew how to communicate with purpose. They understood that success is not achieved through ideas alone, but through the ability to inspire people to believe in those ideas. Strategic communication is far more than speaking well. It is the ability to express your thoughts clearly, listen carefully, understand different perspectives, and influence others without manipulation. A strategist recognizes that every conversation is an opportunity to build trust, solve problems, strengthen relationships, and create meaningful progress. Many people believe communication is simply about talking. In reality, one of the greatest communication skills is listening. Most conversations are filled with people waiting for their turn to speak, rather than genuinely trying to understand one another. They hear words but miss intentions, emotions, and concerns. Strategists approach conversations differently. They ask thoughtful questions, pay close attention, and seek to understand before trying to be understood. When people feel heard, they become more willing to listen in return. Imagine a manager leading a team through a difficult project. A reactive leader immediately begins giving instructions, criticizing mistakes, and demanding faster results. A strategic leader first asks the team what challenges they are facing. They listen carefully, identify obstacles, and encourage honest discussion before offering solutions. The second approach creates trust instead of resistance. Trust is one of the most valuable forms of influence a strategist can build. People naturally follow those they believe are honest, consistent, and dependable. Trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned through repeated actions. Every promise you keep strengthens your credibility. Every promise you break weakens it. Strategists understand that influence begins long before an important conversation. It is built through consistency over time. Another essential aspect of strategic communication is clarity. Confusion wastes time, creates misunderstandings, and leads to poor decisions. Effective communicators simplify complex ideas so others can easily understand them. They avoid unnecessary jargon, speak with purpose, and organize their thoughts before presenting them. Imagine explaining a complicated project to your team. If your explanation is vague, everyone interprets the message differently. Some people work toward one objective while others pursue another. Even talented individuals become ineffective without clear direction. A strategist understands that clarity creates alignment. Strategic communication also requires emotional intelligence. People rarely make decisions based purely on facts. Emotions, values, experiences, and beliefs all influence how messages are received. A strategist considers not only what needs to be said, but also how it should be delivered. Constructive feedback provides a good example. A reactive person might criticize someone's mistakes publicly, damaging confidence and creating resentment. A strategist chooses the right time, speaks respectfully, acknowledges strengths, and offers practical guidance for improvement. The message remains honest, but the delivery encourages growth instead of defensiveness. This ability to communicate with empathy strengthens relationships in every area of life. One remarkable example of strategic communication comes from Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela emerged during one of South Africa's most divided periods. The nation carried deep wounds from decades of apartheid, and many feared that conflict and revenge would define its future. Instead of encouraging division, Mandela chose a different path. He listened to opposing viewpoints, treated both supporters and former opponents with dignity, and consistently communicated a message of reconciliation. He understood that lasting peace required more than political power. It required trust. Through patience, empathy, and respectful dialogue, Mandela inspired millions to believe that unity was possible. His leadership demonstrated that true influence comes not from forcing people to agree, but from helping them see a better future together. His example reminds us that communication is not about winning arguments. It is about building understanding. Strategists also know that body language often communicates more than words. Your posture, eye contact, facial expressions, and tone of voice all send messages before you speak. A confident posture communicates belief. Calm eye contact demonstrates sincerity. A warm smile builds connection. Even silence, when used thoughtfully, can communicate confidence and respect. Because of this, Strategists pay attention to both verbal and non-verbal communication. They ensure that their actions reinforce their words. Influence also depends on asking better questions. Rather than telling people what to think, strategic communicators encourage reflection. Questions such as "What do you think?" "What concerns you most?" or "How can we solve this together?" invite collaboration instead of confrontation. People are far more committed to ideas they help create than ideas forced upon them. Another important principle is adapting your communication to your audience. Not everyone thinks the same way. Some people appreciate detailed explanations. Others prefer brief summaries. Some respond to logic and data, while others connect more deeply through stories and examples. A strategist studies the audience before delivering the message. They adjust their communication without changing the truth. Their goal is not merely to speak, but to ensure the message is understood. Strategic communicators also know when not to speak. In emotionally charged situations, silence can be more powerful than immediate reaction. Responding impulsively often creates regret. Taking a moment to pause allows emotions to settle and wisdom to guide the conversation. Many conflicts grow worse, not because of the original disagreement, but because of careless words spoken in moments of frustration. The ability to pause before responding is a mark of emotional maturity and strategic thinking. Finally, remember that influence is never about controlling people. It is about serving them. The most respected leaders influence others because they consistently add value, demonstrate integrity, and genuinely care about those they lead. People willingly follow individuals who make them feel respected, understood, and inspired. As you continue developing your strategic mindset, begin treating every conversation as an opportunity to strengthen trust, deepen understanding, and create positive change. Listen more carefully than you speak. Choose your words thoughtfully. Communicate with clarity, empathy, and confidence. Over time, these habits will transform not only your relationships, but also your ability to lead, negotiate, solve problems, and inspire others. The smartest strategist knows that success is rarely achieved alone. It is built through people. And the bridge that connects great ideas with great achievements is communication. Master that bridge, and you will possess one of the most valuable strategic advantages anyone can develop. Chapter 9. From Strategy to Execution. A brilliant strategy without action is nothing more than an interesting idea. You can have the clearest vision, the smartest plan, and the most ambitious goals, but if they never move beyond your imagination, they will never change your life. This is where many people fall short. They spend countless hours planning, researching, and dreaming, yet very little time executing. A smart strategist understands a simple truth. Success belongs to those who take consistent action. Planning is essential because it provides direction. Execution is essential because it creates results. Neither can replace the other. A map is valuable only if you begin the journey, and hard work without a map often leads you in circles. The greatest achievements happen when thoughtful planning and disciplined action work together. One of the biggest obstacles to execution is waiting for the perfect moment. Many people delay action because they believe they need more knowledge, more confidence, more money, or more experience. They convince themselves that they will begin once conditions improve, but the perfect moment rarely arrives. Every successful person has started before feeling completely ready. They understood that action creates clarity. You learn more by taking one real step forward than by spending months thinking about the first step. Imagine someone who dreams of writing a book. They spend years researching writing techniques, organizing notes, and planning chapters. Yet they never begin writing because they fear the first draft will not be perfect. Meanwhile, another person starts with limited experience, writes a little every day, improves through practice, and eventually publishes their work. The difference is not talent, it is execution. Strategists know that progress beats perfection. Instead of trying to complete everything at once, they break large goals into smaller, manageable actions. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. A business is built one customer at a time. A healthy body is developed one workout at a time. Every significant achievement is simply a collection of small actions repeated consistently. This approach removes the feeling of being overwhelmed. Suppose your goal is to learn a new language. Thinking about becoming fluent may seem intimidating, but studying for 20 or 30 minutes every day feels achievable. Those small daily sessions gradually become hundreds of hours of learning. Eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes reality. Execution becomes easier when you focus on systems rather than goals. Goals tell you where you want to go. Systems determine how you get there. For example, saying, "I want to get fit" is a goal. Exercising every morning at 7 o'clock, preparing healthy meals in advance, and tracking your workouts is a system. Similarly, earning a promotion is a goal. Continuously improving your skills, arriving prepared, solving problems, and building strong professional relationships is a system. Goals provide motivation, but systems produce consistency. James Clear, in his work on habits, popularized the idea that we do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. Whether or not we think about it in those exact words, the principle remains true. Daily habits quietly determine long-term outcomes. Strategists understand that discipline is more reliable than motivation. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Some days you feel inspired, energized, and ready to work. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. If you only act when motivation appears, progress becomes inconsistent. Discipline, however, creates action regardless of how you feel. Think of a professional athlete. They do not train only when they feel excited. They train because their schedule demands it. Over time, this consistency separates champions from everyone else. The same principle applies to every meaningful goal. Another essential part of execution is accountability. It is easy to make promises to yourself. It is much harder to keep them without a system for measuring progress. Strategists regularly evaluate their performance. They ask themselves, did I complete today's most important task? What progress did I make this week? What obstacles slowed me down? What can I improve tomorrow? These simple questions transform vague intentions into measurable action. Keeping a journal, using a planner, or tracking habits can also strengthen accountability. Visible progress creates momentum. Even small victories build confidence and encourage continued effort. Execution also requires eliminating excuses. Every person faces obstacles. Time is limited. Unexpected problems appear. Life becomes busy. Strategists acknowledge these realities without allowing them to become permanent reasons for inaction. Instead of saying, "I don't have enough time," they ask, "How can I use the time I do have more effectively?" Instead of saying, "I don't know enough," they ask, "What is the next skill I need to learn?" Instead of focusing on what they cannot control, they concentrate on what they can influence today. This mindset transforms obstacles into action. Another characteristic of great execution is flexibility. Sometimes a strategy does not produce the expected results. That does not necessarily mean the goal is wrong. It may simply mean the method needs improvement. Imagine launching a new business. If one marketing approach fails, a strategist studies the results, learns from the experience, and tries another approach. They adjust without abandoning the vision. Execution is not blind persistence. It is intelligent persistence. It combines commitment with continuous learning. Celebrate progress but never become complacent. Many people stop improving after experiencing initial success. Strategists understand that every achievement becomes the starting point for the next level of growth. After completing one goal, they reflect on what worked, identify areas for improvement, and prepare for the next challenge. This commitment to continuous execution creates long-term success. As you move forward on your own journey, remember that your future will not be shaped by the number of books you read, podcasts you hear, or plans you create. It will be shaped by the actions you consistently take. Knowledge becomes valuable only when it changes behavior. Strategy becomes powerful only when it leads to execution. So each morning, instead of asking yourself, "What do I feel like doing today?" ask a better question. What action today will move me one step closer to my future? Then do it. No matter how small the step may seem, take it with purpose, because every completed task strengthens discipline. Every disciplined day builds momentum. Every moment of consistent action compounds into remarkable achievement. The smartest strategists are not remembered because they had the best ideas. They are remembered because they transformed ideas into reality through disciplined, intentional, and consistent execution. That is where strategy becomes success. Chapter 10. The Lifetime Strategist. Building a Legacy of Smart Decisions. As you reach the final chapter of this audiobook, one truth should be clearer than ever. Becoming a strategist is not about mastering a single technique or following a fixed set of rules. It is about adopting a way of thinking that guides every decision, every action, and every stage of life. Strategic thinking is not a destination you arrive at. It is a lifelong practice that evolves as you grow. Throughout this journey, you have learned how to think ahead, recognize patterns, make better decisions, anticipate challenges, prioritize what truly matters, plan several moves into the future, adapt to change, communicate with purpose, and turn strategy into action. Each of these skills is valuable on its own, but together they create something far more powerful, a mindset capable of navigating uncertainty with confidence and purpose. The world will continue to change, new technologies will emerge, industries will transform, opportunities will appear where no one expected them, and challenges will test your patience, resilience, and character. The strategist does not fear these changes. Instead, they recognize that every new chapter of life offers another opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that success is a finish line. They imagine that once they achieve a certain income, earn a promotion, build a business, or reach a personal goal, they will finally be complete. But life rarely works that way. Every achievement opens the door to new responsibilities, new decisions, and new possibilities. Think of climbing a mountain. Reaching one peak often reveals another, even higher peak waiting in the distance. The journey never truly ends. It simply becomes more meaningful as your perspective expands. This is why continuous learning is one of the defining habits of every lifetime strategist. No matter how experienced you become, there will always be something new to discover. New books introduce fresh ideas, new conversations challenge old assumptions, new experiences reveal strengths and weaknesses you never knew existed. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment your growth begins to slow. History consistently reminds us that the greatest leaders remained lifelong students. Leonardo da Vinci explored art, science, engineering, anatomy, and philosophy with endless curiosity. Benjamin Franklin continuously experimented with new ideas throughout his life. Modern innovators still dedicate time to reading, asking questions, and seeking perspectives different from their own. Their success did not come from believing they knew everything. It came from recognizing that learning never ends. As a strategist, cultivate curiosity, ask questions others overlook, challenge your own assumptions. Seek knowledge, not simply to accumulate information, but to improve your judgment. Another essential habit of a lifetime strategist is reflection. In today's fast-moving world, people often rush from one task to another without pausing to consider what they have learned. Yet growth happens not only through experience, but through examining experience. Take time regularly to reflect. Ask yourself, what decision am I most proud of this month? What mistake taught me the greatest lesson? What habits are moving me closer to my vision? What should I stop doing? Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. Without reflection, mistakes tend to repeat themselves. With reflection, even failures become valuable teachers. Building a meaningful legacy also requires integrity. Your reputation is one of the few assets that compounds over an entire lifetime. People may forget your achievements, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. They remember whether your words matched your actions. They remember whether you kept your promises. They remember whether you acted with honesty when it would have been easier to compromise. Strategists understand that trust is earned slowly and lost quickly. Every decision either strengthens or weakens your reputation. Protect it carefully. Another characteristic of great strategists is their willingness to invest in people. Success achieved alone is often temporary. Success built through strong relationships creates lasting impact. Every meaningful accomplishment depends in some way on other people. Mentors provide guidance, colleagues offer support, friends encourage resilience, family provides stability, communities create opportunities. Strategists invest time in these relationships long before they need them. They celebrate others' successes. They share knowledge generously. They listen with respect. They help without immediately expecting something in return. This approach creates a network of trust that becomes invaluable throughout life. Remember that your legacy is not measured only by what you achieve. It is measured by what continues because you lived, the knowledge you share, the encouragement you give, the opportunities you create, the example you set. These influences often outlast financial success or professional recognition. There is another important lesson every strategist eventually learns. Not every battle deserves your energy. As you grow older and wiser, you begin to recognize that protecting your peace can be just as valuable as proving your point. Some arguments produce no progress. Some distractions consume attention without creating value. Some opportunities appear attractive, but pull you away from what matters most. Strategists become increasingly selective. They choose purpose over pride, contribution over recognition, long-term fulfillment over short-term applause. This wisdom allows them to invest their energy where it creates the greatest impact. Never forget the extraordinary power of small decisions. Most people imagine that life changes through dramatic moments. In reality, it changes through ordinary choices repeated consistently. Reading 10 pages every day, saving a small percentage of every paycheck, exercising regularly, listening carefully, keeping your promises, learning one new skill each year, choosing patience instead of anger. These decisions may seem insignificant on any single day, but over years they compound into remarkable results. Your future is not created by one grand decision. It is created by thousands of small strategic choices made with intention. As you leave this audiobook, remember that strategy is not something you switch on only during important moments. It is present in how you begin your mornings, how you manage your time, how you respond to criticism, how you spend your money, how you treat people, how you recover from setbacks, and how you prepare for opportunities that have not yet arrived. Every day gives you another chance to practice strategic thinking. Some days you will make excellent decisions. Other days you will make mistakes. That is part of the journey. Do not aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Learn from every experience. Adjust your course when necessary. Continue moving forward. Years from now, you will look back and realize that the greatest transformation did not happen because of one extraordinary event. It happened because you consistently chose to think before reacting, to prepare before acting, to learn before judging, and to lead with wisdom instead of impulse. That is the true mark of a lifetime strategist. The future has never been written in advance. Every choice you make adds another sentence to your story. Every habit shapes your character. Every decision influences your destiny. So begin each day with intention. Think beyond the present. Act with courage. Adapt with humility. Communicate with integrity. Execute with discipline. And never stop learning. Because the smartest strategist is not the one who predicts the future perfectly. It is the one who prepares for it, grows through it, and creates it. One thoughtful decision at a time. Your next move begins today. Congratulations on reaching the end of the Smart Strategist, how to think ahead, make better decisions, and achieve more. This audiobook was never about memorizing strategies or collecting ideas. It was about transforming the way you think. Because the quality of your life is determined not by the number of opportunities you receive, but by the quality of the decisions you make when those opportunities appear. From developing a strategic mindset to recognizing patterns, making wiser decisions, anticipating challenges, mastering priorities, planning several moves ahead, adapting to change, communicating with purpose, and turning strategy into consistent action, each chapter has equipped you with practical tools to navigate life with greater clarity and confidence. Now the responsibility shifts to you. Knowledge has power only when it becomes action. Every conversation you have, every challenge you face, and every decision you make is an opportunity to practice strategic thinking. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Start with one thoughtful decision today, then make another tomorrow. Over time, those small choices will compound into extraordinary results. There will be moments when your plans don't unfold as expected. You will encounter setbacks, uncertainty, and unexpected obstacles. When those moments come, remember that true strategists do not panic or give up. They pause, learn, adapt, and continue moving forward with purpose. Your future is not shaped by luck or chance. It is shaped by the habits you build, the priorities you protect, the people you influence, and the decisions you make every single day. As you close this audiobook, ask yourself one final question. What is the smartest move I can make today that my future self will thank me for? Then take that step with confidence. Think ahead, decide wisely, act with purpose, and never stop growing. Because every great achievement begins with one smart decision, and your next one starts now.